So when we combine these, what do we get? Our x's eliminate. How many y's do we end up with? And then what is our constant that we end up with? So y ends up equaling, and that's when we kind of wonder, did we do it right? Okay, now we have an answer. What are we going to plug it into? You want to plug it into the first one or the second one? You never plug it into this one. Always go back to the original equations. The first one? Okay, so I got x plus 8/5 equals 10. Do you want to get rid of the denominator? How do you get rid of the denominator? Well, let's not. And the reason I say that is let's practice getting a common denominator. So I got x equals 10 minus 8/5. Anytime you want a common denominator, all you're doing is multiplying by 1. What is the denominator I need under that 10? So what is 1 going to be? So I'm going to multiply by 5/5. I can always multiply by 1. It doesn't change the value of anything. So I got 50/5 minus 8/5, which gives me what? So we have an answer of 8/5 and whoops. Nope. We have an answer of 42/5 and 8/5. Okay, how do we check it? But we have to plug it back into it. Some teachers are going to tell you have to plug it back into both, but you really don't. Which equation did we just use to get our last answer? Then you want to plug it into the other one. If you plug it into the top one, it's going to work. You just got your answer that way. But the other one's going to tell you whether or not it's right. So we're going to do 2 times 42/5 minus 3 times 8/5 equals 12. Do you want to get rid of the denominator? We could. We could multiply across by what? What's 5? Okay, now pay attention to what's going to happen. This right here is one term. That's 5 times 2 times 42/5. So what's going to happen? The 5s are just going to cancel out. So then when I multiply 5 times -3 times 8/5, the 5s are just going to cancel out. There are no plus or minus signs there. It's just a term. But then I have to multiply 5 times 12. So what do I get when I multiply 5 times 12? Okay, so this becomes what? 2 times 42, which is 84, minus 24. Does everybody understand that, or do I need to go explain it further? We're okay with it? Okay, so 84 minus 24, is that 60 equals 60? Yay! So this is our answer. We can now box it. We know it's right. So let's take a look at this other one. Yuck. That's not looking so good. Will a 2 in any way become a 7? Will a 2 in any way become a 5? So we're going to have to multiply both of them, but we want to multiply them by something that's going to keep them as small as possible. So now my question is, what do you want to get rid of, the x's or the y's? I would look for the one that has smaller numbers. So the y's. Okay. 2 and 5. What can you tell me about 2 and 5? Okay, they're both prime. So therefore, we're going to just have to multiply them. So that means we're going to multiply. Do I need to multiply either one by a negative? Tell me about the signs that the y's already have. They're already opposite, right? So we don't have to worry about that. So we're going to multiply the top by 5, and we're going to multiply the bottom by 2. So I'm going to just do it directly below it. I'm going to say 10x plus 10y equals, what's 5 times 14? 70. And then I got the 2 times 7x, 5y, and what's 2 times 13? And now we just combine again. What happens to the y's? Please always check this. It's not unusual that we forget to multiply and our signs are the same. So make sure it's 10, a positive 10 and a minus 10. Make sure they actually eliminate. So we end up with 24x equals 96. So x equals, how many times will 24 go into 96? 4. Why'd you go with 4 so quick? Okay. Okay. I like that. The other thing to think about is 4 times what's going to produce a 6 in the ones place. 4 times 4, doesn't that produce a 16? So that's how I kind of think about it when the number's big. You kind of come up with your own, but if you just kind of look at it for a second, then think about what do I multiply to get that 6? So we got 4. Okay, we have one piece of our answer. We got 4. We still need to find our y. So which one you want to plug it back into? The top one? Okay, so we got 2 times 4 plus 2y equals 14. Now what? And we get? Do what? Oh, okay, well, I hadn't gotten that far yet. Divide by the 2. Okay, so now we're going to check it. Which one did we just use to get our answer? So we have to use the other one to check it. So we're going to do 7 times 4 minus 5 times 3 equals 13. 7 times 4 is minus 15. What's 28 minus 15? We okay with that? Can you classify these systems? Are they inconsistent, independent, or dependent? Independent. They have one solution. Inconsistent means they don't have any. Dependent means they have infinitely many. Okay. What about this one? How will we do this one? Since they have the same signs, can we just multiply by -1? Okay, so I'm going to take this top one, I'm going to multiply by -1. It's going to give me minus x minus y equals 4. What do I get on the left side? What do I get on the right side? Is that a true statement? What happens when you lose your variable and you get a false statement? No solutions. And if there's no solutions, what would the graph look like?
Probably like parallel.
Probably like, definitely parallel. And how would we classify it? Inconsistent. Okay. Got another one? What do you want to do with this one? You totally do that. Anybody see another way you could handle this one?
-4/3 wouldn't be that hard for this one. Because it would just be -16, -4, -4.
Okay. Any other thoughts? When we see elimination, we always think about multiplying by something and making it bigger. Why don't you think about this in the other way? What if we multiplied by something that made it smaller?
Or the bottom one by -3/4.
Why? What if we multiplied the top one by 1/3? What would happen? What happens if we multiply this one by 1/3? X plus Y equals, what do you think we should multiply the bottom one by? How about 1/4? What happens with that one? So you could always go smaller too. What do you see? The same equation. So what is our answer? Infinitely many. And how would we classify it? Dependent. So always consider, can I go the other way? We always want to make our numbers smaller if we can. Okay, we got some coins here. Let's practice our coins. The collection of coins contains only nickels and dimes. The collection includes 31 coins and has face value 265. How many nickels and how many dimes are there? What are our variables? Let's start there. Okay, nickels and dimes. Nickels, what does that mean? What does N stand for? Number of nickels. Okay, then we're going to say D, I guess. And what are we going to say for that one? Okay, this is me defining my variables. So then equation one of them has to do with the count and one of them has to do with the value. So what do we got? Okay, but I'm going to say N plus D equals what? Okay. So that has to do with the count. The number of nickels plus the number of dimes equals 31 coins. Now what's equation 2? What's the other total they gave us? Okay, so this has to do with the value. So now what do I do? Okay, and that would be, so 0.05, not 0.5, be careful. And then I believe I showed y'all before how I took this and I multiplied it by 100 to get rid of all the decimals. So I have 5 cents for a nickel, 10 cents for a dime equals 265 cents. Just so I didn't have to deal with nickels and dimes, or decimals, sorry. Okay, now what? What do you want to do? Is this set up for substitution or elimination? Elimination. Substitution means you'd have a variable isolated. We do not. So if I put them together, which one do you want to eliminate? The nickels or the dimes? So we would multiply by what? 5 or, okay. So I got -5 nickels minus 5 dimes equals, what the heck is -5 times 31? 155? Everybody agree? And then we're ready to just combine. What happened to my nickels? How many dimes do we have? And then how many coins do we have? Or how many cents do we have? Okay, so then dimes equals, how many dimes do we have? 22. Okay, so we wrote this to where dimes is our dependent. Okay, now what do I do to find out how many nickels we got? So I got nickels plus 22 dimes equals 31 coins. So how many nickels do I have? So if I were to write out the statement or answer this, I would say I have 9 nickels and 22 dimes that total 31 coins and $2.65, right? Should we check it? Okay, which one are we going to check it in? We can check it either this one or this one. Which one? So I got 5 times 9 plus 10 times 22, and that should equal 265. What's 5 times 9? What's 10 times 22? What is 45 plus 220? So did we do it right? So there's no reason to even make a mistake because you know you did it right. We okay with that? Mm-hmm. Okay, here you go. You got some graphing you get to practice. Then you have some elimination. And then you can use a calculator on this one if you'd like. Do y'all remember how to plug a system into a calculator? I think it's under it's in the InSolve. It's algebra, right? But it's not InSolve. It's system solve or something like that, right? I don't ever use it. I wouldn't do that. I would just graph it and find the intersection. Okay. So y'all got those to work on.